on satellite, on Freeview, on cable, on radio, on mobile, on the web and around the world. This is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7.
Brewing trouble. Western and Southern provincial councils make head changes. 4 removed from their posts. Right to remain silent. Commission of Inquiry allow Arjun Aloysius to maintain silence. Case possible. Minister Rajda says former president can be brought before the court over the silk clothes case. Restructuring Sri Lankan.
The shareholder has never capitalized the airline at the levels it needs to be.
Making headlines from the international arena. Suu Kyi evades. Myanmar's national leader Aung San Suu Kyi to miss the UN General Assembly amid Rohingya crisis. The Minister of Finance announced today that the Treasury has decided to commence taxation under the new Inland Revenue Act from 1st April 2018. Good evening, this is First at 9 on Other Derana 24/7. I am Katharina Chang. On your top local story tonight, Southern and Western Provincial Council today saw several changes. A provincial minister of the Southern Province, Veerasumana Veerasinghe, was removed from the post today, while 2 posts in the Western Provincial Council also changed hands.
Provincial Councillor Veerasumana Veerasinghe was the incumbent Minister of Sports, Youth Affairs, Culture and Arts, Social Welfare, Probationary Care and Child Protection, Women's Affairs, Housing and Construction. The Governor of the Southern Province, Hemakumara Nanayakara, took measures today to strip the ministerial portfolio from Veerasinghe and vest it with Chief Minister Shan Vijayalal de Silva. Accordingly, the Chief Minister took over the vacated portfolio and was sworn in before the Governor. Meanwhile, in the Western Provincial Council, the leader of the House, Sunil Jayamani, was removed from the post and Hector Betmage was appointed in his place. The Chief Government Whip at the Western Provincial Council, Gunasinghe Jainath, was also removed with Chandan Jayakodi replacing him. The acting chairman of the Council's Audit Committee, Merrill Fernando, has also been removed from the post.
The Presidential Commission of Inquiry investigating the controversial bond issuance today stated that if the former director of Perpetual Treasuries Limited refuses to testify before the Commission, it will not force him to do so. Accordingly, Arjun Aloysius, who appeared before the Commission in line with a notice issued recently, did not testify before the Commission today. In the meantime, the Commission issued notice to the former Governor of the Central Bank, Arjuna Mahendran, to appear before the Commission on the 19th. The Commission of Inquiry issued notice to Arjun Aloysius to appear before the Commission, yet his attorney, President's Counsel Gamini Marapana, said he objects to his client testifying. He stated to the Commission that Arjun Aloysius has the right to remain silent without testifying before the Commission, adding that there is a possibility of his client being an accused based on his statement. Accordingly, the chairman of the Commission, Justice K.T. Chitrasiri, today made a statement related to the submission of President's Counsel Gamini Marapana, saying Arjun Aloysius is an essential witness to the Commission based on the existing evidence. He also said that it is necessary for him to testify on the nature of his relationship with the former governor of the central bank, Arjuna Mahendran, and obtaining a house for rent which was occupied by former Minister Ravi Karunanayake. He went on to say that law doesn't have provisions to force the witness to testify before the Commission under the Penal Code. The chairman of the Commission, K.T. Chitrasiri, also said the Commission realizes that Arjun Aloysius has considered himself to be an accused by not testifying before the Commission. He emphasized, although the aim of the Commission is to fulfill their duties to their utmost ability, the rule of law surpasses national necessity.
Brilliant.
See you, Arjun. See you. Thank you. Okay, sir. Good show. Thank you.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe highlights 2018 and 2019 as crucial years for the country since it will be a time of heavy loan settlements. He made this statement at an event held in Makandura today. The opening ceremony of a new business research and development centre at the Makandura Industrial Estate was held under the auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe this morning. The Prime Minister later engaged in an observational tour subsequent to the ceremony.
We are all tasked with strengthening the economy. Today our income exceeds the amount spent on loan settlements. However, I am not satisfied by this, as we need to obtain further loans to carry out other tasks. There is also a wide gap between income and expenditure. 2018 and 2019 are crucial, as most loan settlements will be done within these 2 years.
President Maithripala Sirisena today unveiled the newly constructed building complex at the Automobile Engineering Training Institute in Orugodavatta. Recently removed Deputy Minister Arundika Fernando was also present at the ceremony.
The Automobile Engineering Training Institute is affiliated with the National Apprentice and Industrial Training Authority. Following the opening ceremony of the new building complex of the institute in Orugodavatta, the President engaged in an observational tour of the premises. Addressing the gathering, Minister of Skills Development and Vocational Training Chandima Virakadi spoke on the issue of unemployment and highlighted the necessity of vocational training.
Our objective is to provide vocational training opportunities for more than 100,000 students. We as a ministry take the responsibility of providing necessary training to these students as demanded by institutions and respective career fields.
The United States Senate Subcommittee on Asia and the Pacific opposed the Trump administration's proposal of 92% cut in US aid to Sri Lanka. Now, according to the committee report on appropriations, while passing the Department of State Foreign Operations and Related Programs Appropriations Bill for 2018, the committee did not support the President's budget request for Sri Lanka given the geostrategic importance of the country.
The Committee on Appropriations, while passing the Department of State, Foreign Operations and Related Programs Appropriations Bill 2018, noted that the Office of Management and Budget arbitrarily set the top-line funding level for the international affairs budget without input from the Department of State and aid for Sri Lanka. It said funding for the island nation was arbitrarily slashed by 92%, which is strategically located along key shipping lanes and is emerging from decades of conflict. The report goes on to say that the committee recognizes and supports efforts of the government of Sri Lanka to advance democracy and the rule of law and encourages further steps to address the underlying causes of the armed conflict by promoting justice and reconciliation. It also recommends a total of $43.88 million in funding to Sri Lanka.
The government of Japan extended a grant assistance of over $1.2 million for a humanitarian demining project in the northern province of Sri Lanka. It will be worked off by the Skavita Humanitarian Assistance and Relief Projects as well as Halo Trust, the largest international mine action operator in Sri Lanka.
The grant contract was signed today by the program manager of SHARP, retired Colonel Sarat Jayawardena, together with the ambassador of Japan to Sri Lanka, Kenichi Suganuma, and the program manager of the Halo Trust, Fiona Kilpatrick.
This year, the Japanese embassy has enhanced the funding through GGP for SHARP to increase its cadre from the original 2 demining teams to 4 demining teams. With the increase of 2 teams, we hope to have a mix of gender as well.
This saves lives. It enables the resettlement of many and the reconstruction of critical infrastructure and facilitates the resumption of livelihoods for thousands. This was crucial in making it possible for over 3,000 Sri Lankans to return safely home and for nearly 11,000 more to begin using this land, thus enabling Sri Lanka to continue its recovery from decades of civil war.
We hope to be able to continue to work with you in support of the government to make Sri Lanka free of mine by 2020.
Minister Rajatha Senaratne says legal action can be taken against former President Mahinda Rajapaksa over the silk cloth case. He expressed these views during the Cabinet media briefing today.
ජෛව සුරක්ෂිතතාව පිළිබඳ නව පනතක් හඳුන්වා දීම පිළිබඳ
The proposal made by President Maithripala Sirisena in his capacity as the Minister of Mahavali Development and Environment to draft a new act on biosafety was approved by the Cabinet of Ministers. The Cabinet also approved the proposal made by the Minister of Transport and Civil Aviation Nimal Siripal de Silva to sign an agreement to host the 10th International Civil Aviation Negotiation Conference. The proposal made by the Minister of Social Empowerment, Welfare and Kandyan Heritage SP Dissanayaka to draft a bill with the view of recognising the sign language as benefiting the deaf population of the country was also approved. The proposal made by the Minister of Fisheries and Aquatic Resource Development Mahinda Amaravira to provide a land of 150 hectares on lease basis at Kodiyar in Trincomalee, owned by the Ports Authority, to Global Ceylon Seafood Private Limited for 30 years was also given approval by the Cabinet.
Cabinet ministers then responded to questions raised by journalists.
කලින් නම් කිව්වේ ජනාධිපතිවරයා මේ ආණ්ඩුව ඉන්න ගමන් ආණ්ඩුව විවේචනය කරන්න පුළුවන් ඒ ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදී ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂය තියෙනවායි කියලා. සාමූහිකත්වයේ කඩන විදියට වැඩ කරපුවාම
As a party that is in the government, when someone tries to breach unity, it creates issues. We suggested discussions on the matter as such statements caused trouble. But since this kept happening, the president took this decision.
තුළ තමයි අතිගෞරව ජනාධිපතිතුමායි තීන්දුව අරන් තියෙන්නේ.
හිටපු ජනාධිපති මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයා ප්‍රසිද්ධියේ ප්‍රකාශයක් කරලා තියෙනවා මම තමයි මේ නියෝගය දුන්නේ කියලා.
එතුමාට මේ ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න තිබුණේ කලින්නේ.
He should have made the statement before. The case was heard for 24 days. But now a case can be filed requesting the court to summon the former president since he accepts responsibility.
ඒ නියෝගය අනුව එයාවත් ගේන්න කියලා අධිකරණය.
බන්දුල ගුණවර්ධන මහත්මයා කියන්නේ පාස්කර් ලිකම් මහත්මයාත් මේහා සමානම වැරද්දක් කළා තියෙනවා මේ
මොකද්ද කළා තියෙන වැරද්දේ මනුස්සයා.
LTT සංවිධානයේ සමග ගනුදෙනුවක් සිද්ධ කරලා.
ඉතින් ඔප්පු කරන්න එපා. මොකෝ එයා අග්‍රවිනිශ්චයකාරයයි ලංකාවේ.
The Registrar of the Asgiri chapter, Venerable Madagama Dhammananda Thera, condemns the derogatory remarks levelled by some ministers of the government. The Venerable Thera spoke on the matter, convening a special media briefing today.
We can see that actions and statements made by various ministers and members of parliament in the government are insulting and defamatory to the members of the Buddhist clergy and other religious leaders. This should be strongly condemned. The fault is that these individuals were rejected by the public and became famous for reasons other than politics. Nevertheless, they have entered into politics and are using its powers to make defamatory statements about the members of the clergy and religious leaders with no regard towards the nation as well as religious and cultural principles. This will result in the public rejecting these individuals.
Several trade unions attached to the Ceylon Electricity Board commenced an island-wide strike at 12 noon today. Employees engaged in the strike urged that laws should be implemented against corruption and fraud taking place at the Ceylon Electricity Board.
Employees engaged in the strike also claimed that if a proper investigation was done within the Ceylon Electricity Board, the government would be able to recover a massive amount of money. Employees assert that the said sum would be enough to reduce the electricity tariffs. Employees also claim that repair work will not be carried out in case of a breakdown or power failure except at government hospitals during the strike. The employees made an offering for DTs as well. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy announced a leave cancellation for all CEB employees from today until the 20th of September. Furthermore, the Ministry of Power and Renewable Energy in a statement said that steps are taken to solve issues pertaining to salary discrepancies and corruption as claimed by a section of employees.
The General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Minister Duminda Dissanayaka, affirms private decisions can't be taken when someone is in a party. He expressed these views following an audience with the chief prelates in Kandy today. Minister Duminda Dissanayaka visited the chief prelate of the Asgiri chapter, Most Venerable Varakagoda Sri Gnanaratana Thera. The minister then called on the chief prelate of the Malwatu chapter, Most Venerable Tibbatuave Sri Sumangala Thera. After the meeting, he responded to questions raised by journalists.
I believe now it's clear as to how a party and a government should function. Everyone has a responsibility to work in line with the vision of the party. No, there is no such obstruction. A party should have discipline. There are things that should be discussed inside the party and outside the party. We cannot make private decisions if we are in a party. No, I don't think so.
Let's take a look at other stories making news across Sri Lanka.
A 2-month elephant calf tangled in a fishing net in Mahagalagamu Lake was rescued by local fishermen in Anuradhapura. The elephant calf was later released to the Galgamu Lake Reserve. An individual brandished a firearm and made away with 37 gold necklaces from a jewellery shop in Kiribathgoda. The gold chains are valued at 15 million rupees. 6 individuals with concealed faces robbed 1.4 million rupees from a van transporting cigarettes. The haze took place at the Makumbura junction in Yakkalamulla Gaol. The suspects fled in a motor vehicle but collided with a person, leading to the arrest of 4 of them, while the other 2 absconded. A 12-day-old infant was rescued by a family health worker while being abandoned by the mother behind the Puliyankulama clinic in Anuradhapura. The mother of the infant is said to have rented a house adjacent to the clinic and is currently missing. 2 Sri Lankan women who attempted to smuggle over 7 kilograms of gold jewellery into the country from Dubai was nabbed by custom officials at the Bandaranaike International Airport during the early hours this morning. Airport customs said gold jewellery amounting to 40 million rupees were concealed within the belt of one of the suspects. A 60-year-old resident from Malsiripura was killed in a hit-and-run accident which occurred in Daramitipola, Gokaralla in Kurunegala. The incident occurred at 1:30 last morning when the victim who attempted to cross the road was haphazardly knocked down by a tipper truck.
Having an airline to call a national carrier is cause for pride under most circumstances. In the ever-changing global markets, however, having a national carrier is in fact considered a luxury. Sri Lanka is fortunate enough to boast that luxury, but the question is, for how long? First at 9 secured an exclusive interview with the Chief Executive Officer of Sri Lankan Captain Suren Ratwata to discuss the plight of the national carrier. In the first instalment of a 3-part series, the Sri Lankan CEO stressed the need to address cost issues and infuse capital. We know that Sri Lankan Airlines is going through a restructuring process internally as well as a company or as a group. How's the progress going so far and what are the developments?
We have started on our restructuring program. However, we need a lot of approvals from the government of Sri Lanka, who is the primary shareholder of the airline, before we can engage fully in the process. That is ongoing, and we are seeking approval from both our line ministry and the cabinet to implement the more serious restructuring concepts.
But one of the things that you all have raised concerns regarding the Sri Lankan Airlines is in terms of it cannot depend on transport activities alone. There should be other areas as well to support the losses.
Our revenues at air transport level are very good. In fact, we've had an excellent month in August, one of our best months ever, which is very positive. However, we have a cost problem. We need to address the cost issues of the airline urgently. And as you quite rightly say, most airline groups in our part of the world rely on cross-subsidies from ground handling, catering, engineering and other parts of the business to support the core air transport industry.
Now we are hearing reports that you all actually have full payload to certain routes like Melbourne, which is coming in the near future, as well as to India. But why is it that we are still seeing a loss made in terms of operations, even with such a business coming into the airlines?
Our first and greatest issue has been the lack of capital to the airline. The shareholder has never capitalized the airline at the levels it needs to be. So we are dependent on short-term loans, primarily from state banks and some foreign banks. This consumes an enormous portion of our revenue. Our second biggest problem is the high fuel price in Colombo. Our third problem is the high cost of aircraft leases that were part of a very ambitious expansion program entered into in the last 4 to 5 years. Unfortunately, the markets have changed considerably since then, and the revenues can't support those high lease costs. And we need to exercise, take out that fat and become a lean and strong airline again.
Meanwhile, Sri Lankan shares closed little change today as local investors wait to see the real impact of the new tax bill. The Colombo Stock Index ended 0.07% weaker at 6,372.70. It fell 0.2% last week, its 8th straight weekly drop. We now cross over to R.M. Sivananda at the Colombo Stock Exchange.
Top 5 gainers of the day were PC Pharma, Colombo Trust Finance, Multifinance, SMB Leasing and Amaya Leisure. While the top 5 losers were SMB Leasing Non-Voting, Adam Capital, Eden Hotel Lanka, Anilana Hotels and Singaputra Finance Preference shares. Today there were 3 crossings and the crossing turnover was 135.82 million rupees. Today's foreign purchases were 247.09 million rupees and the foreign sales were 282.86 million rupees.
Myanmar's national leader Aung San Suu Kyi will not attend the UN General Assembly, which is due to be held next week. According to a Myanmar government spokesperson, this decision is taken upon pressing matters of the Rohingya crisis.
Myanmar's national leader Aung San Suu Kyi is currently facing criticism over ethnic violence which revived in the years 2016 and 2017, forcing individuals of Rohingya Muslim ethnic minority to flee the country. The criticism include allegations by the UN which claims military violence as a form of ethnic cleansing. The allegations leveled against the government also include rape, murder and arson. The ethnic violence has also displaced and forced Rohingya communities to seek refuge in India, Indonesia, Malaysia, Bangladesh and Thailand. The UN Security Council is due to convene today for a discussion on the crisis.
Minister of Sports Dasri Jayasekara says Sri Lanka has not yet decided to send the cricket team to Lahore in Pakistan and discussions are still ongoing on a possible visit to the country. He made the remark in response to questions raised by the journalists during the cabinet media briefing today.
The match between Sri Lanka and Pakistan is to be held in Dubai. We are yet to make a decision on the possibility of going to Pakistan. The matter is still under discussions. We still remember what happened in Lahore last time. If there is good security, we can go there. We have to be 100% on the security. We are not ready to put the cricketers at risk. Pakistan helped us a lot when we were in trouble. During the recent drought, they sent us rice. Therefore, the decision will be taken after considering the situation of the two countries and the security.
Let's now cross over to Shinla Fernando at the other Derana Weather Centre for a detailed picture on your weather forecast.
Good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. Relatively mild temperatures can be expected tomorrow between 20 and 31 degrees Celsius. As you can see, low pressure zones are to prevail mainly in the western province over the next 24 hours. Showers or thunder showers will occur in the western and southern provinces and fairly heavy falls are also expected, particularly in the North Central Province and in the Matale district. That's it from the Weather Centre tonight. Let's now take a look at your city-by-city forecast.
And before we go, we'd like to take you to the beautiful beach of Mirissa. While Mirissa is famous for whale watching, tourists also flock to the beach for its magnificent scenery and crystal clear blue water. Thank you for joining us. Have a pleasant evening.
the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.